the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua. And today's question is, how can you turn your story into a global brand? Well, our guest for today is the perfect guest to answer that question. Lily Patrascu will be our guide for today. She is an ultra creative book publisher and personal brand strategist for thought leaders, CEOs, luxury influencers. As an influencer, best-selling author, copywriter, global speaker, she supports busy entrepreneurs to find their message and share it with millions of people around the world and around the globe. Lily, thank you for coming on the show. I'm very excited to talk about what you do.
Thank you so much, Joshua. So I'm Lily, and I publish books that transform the world that will elevate your brand and get you speaking worldwide. And I also organize large events for influential entrepreneurs to connect
Wow.
you with opportunities. And I
Wow.
have recently started my own podcast called Awakened Titans Podcast, where I interview conscious multimillionaires.
That's it.
And
That's it.
what's so amazing about turning your story into a global brand is that first, I feel that almost anyone can do it. I came
Yes.
from Romania with 100
Mhm.
euros in my pocket, which is about
Wow.
$100, to London
Mhm.
18 years ago.
Mhm.
And I started working out as an au pair, which is a
Right.
babysitter.
Mhm.
And I did that for about 8 years until I realized that it was my time now to explore the world, to have fun, to do more things
Yes.
until one day when I realized I have to do something more. That's when I realized I should publish a book. And the minute I published a book, my entire world changed. First,
Wow.
because my personal confidence elevated.
Mhm.
Secondly, because people who previously were running away from me were no longer doing that. Thirdly, because I became a magnet for business opportunities, even for dating. Because I
Mhm.
was even looking for a boyfriend. It was so hard to do it previously. But after
Wow.
becoming a published author,
Mhm.
everyone wanted to date me, and it was just crazy.
Wow.
And also, in terms of business opportunities and employment opportunities, I found that all of a sudden I was magnetic for
Mhm.
hundreds of people because I was a published author. Now,
Wow.
my book was called Meet the Nanny.
Meet the
And
nanny.
although I only sold 22 copies to my friends and families,
Mhm.
and it was so hard to even convince them to do that, what I realized was first, I had written the wrong book. But even with the wrong book, I still managed to elevate my brand because people were now seeing me as an author. Now,
Mhm.
because the image of the book was really fabulous, okay,
Right. Right.
people were also looking at me and thinking, oh my God, this woman actually can do a lot more than I imagined.
Right.
Okay, so when you publish a book, when you're sharing your thoughts, when you are sharing your story, then all
Mhm.
of a sudden, hundreds more people can have access to that really quickly. And that's when they start to appreciate you more. And I think that's
Right.
what we need. We need to start first to put our thoughts to paper, but also to be in service of other people. Now, by publishing the wrong book, I realized
Wow.
what I had done wrong. And in the following years, I
Mhm.
started publishing books that were useful for people. And for
Interesting.
example, I published a book called English from Zero to Hero,
Oh,
150 Ways to Learn English Fast. And
that's
this
it.
was a book that I wrote because I realized I had first been offered this job as the director of an English school
Mhm.
a few months after publishing my first book called Meet the Nanny. Okay, because
Mhm.
I had a teaching degree. And
Yes.
what I realized was that when you publish a book, so many opportunities open up for you. And from this book, English from Zero to Hero, I went on to publish more book, Peak Performance Sales, and I also helped my partner to write his book called Climbing Big Ben: How to Survive, Thrive, and Succeed in London. And that
Wow.
one went on to
Oh, wow.
become a big success. And from
Wow.
there, he was invited to speak in front of 2,000 people at the National Achievers Congress
Hmm.
for a few minutes. And at this event, Tony Robbins was speaking, and this guy is known worldwide for being the number one business strategist,
Uh-huh.
and charges so much money for his services. So all of a sudden, a new world started to open up for him and for me. And
Unbelievable.
that's how I started speaking worldwide. And since then, I managed to impact more than 1 million people online and
Wow.
10,000 people in global stages.
Lily, first of all, I love how you just went right into it and you shared us everything that you've done in the entire journey. You walked us through it. I absolutely love that. First off, I want to backtrack a little bit on here because what was the young Lily like? I'm very interested in that because you started off with a book and you knew that you wanted to publish your own book. Was the young Lily always an author at heart? Was this something that you always wanted to do? But why do you think your first book, Meet the Nanny, was the wrong book?
Great question. First of all, I never wanted to be a published author. I hadn't even
Oh,
thought of it. All I thought about was I was a failure. I
oh,
had done nothing. Okay.
oh,
I had reached the age of 29 years old and I didn't have a proper job. I was still a nanny.
mhm,
I didn't have a boyfriend. People were running away from me as if I had the
mhm,
leper. And I felt like I was just a useless person, okay, to
right.
everyone. And I decided that I had to do something. And I didn't
Mhm,
know what that was. So
mhm,
I started searching. I started reading books. And I
mhm.
started reading this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it was
That's
that
it.
book that taught me about, wait a minute, you have to go back to appreciation and gratitude and
Yes,
look at everything you are doing right now and start appreciating even the things you actually don't like.
I
And
love that.
even if, let's say, you have a job you dislike, you still have a bed, you still have food, you still have
Mhm,
maybe water. Okay.
mhm,
And even if you don't have that, maybe there is something you do have. Maybe you have your
mhm,
family. Maybe you have your children. Maybe you have your health. You have you are thinking clearly. Okay. You have your intelligence. You have internet. Right.
mhm.
So think about all the different things you do have and start appreciating those things. And that's what I
I
started
love that.
doing. And in that moment of, it wasn't just a moment, really, it was a few months when I gradually started to reshape and reshift my thinking
Mhm.
into appreciation and gratitude.
I
And
love
that's
that.
when I realized, oh, I should write a book. And then it kind of started clicking, and I said, okay, I'm doing this because that will make me feel like at least I did something. Okay, it's not a
Mhm,
big thing, but at least do something, right? So
mhm,
maybe you've been in this situation where you feel like you haven't done enough for the
mhm.
world, for yourself, for your family. And I think what's important is just to do something
Yes,
towards your dream. Now, coming
I
back to the
love
question
that.
about the nanny, how did I know that was not the correct book? I knew that because people were asking me, so how is this book going to help me? And when
Mhm,
they were asking that, I was thinking, I hadn't thought of that. Okay,
mhm,
I hadn't thought of that. So I needed to start thinking about the people that will be reading. And this book is not about me, it's about them. It's about
Wow.
millions of other people and how what can I do to help them? And I think a lot of times when people want to write books, they
Mhm.
want to write about their message and they want to write
Right,
about their story. They want to share about their stuff. And the problem is nobody really cares unless you make it about them, unless you
right.
tell your story in a way that you are telling it to help them and you
I love
create
that.
a blueprint or a system they can follow in order to better their lives, in order to fast track their learning, in order to fast track their, I don't know, IT
Mm,
skills,
mhm.
or there is some sort of learning that they can have from this book
Yes,
so they
yes.
can better their lives. And if you do it like that, then you have a win-win
I
because
love
you
that.
are telling your story and they are hearing what they want to hear,
I
or
love that.
they are reading what they want to read.
Lily, I love that it relates back to the book that changed your life, or the book that you mentioned, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a very classic, how you call it, it's a very classic self-help book, right? It's probably, for me, is the most important self-help book out there. I think it's the OG, the legit self-help book, and everyone needs to read that. But of course, you relate it back to the books that you continue to write and into the future, and that same book gave you value, and you're writing the same book that gives back value. And I love that you are sharing that same value that you received. Your brand for speakers system, it promises to turn someone's story into a book in 60 days, and I feel like you've really zoned into this, to this gift of yours, zoned into this specialty of yours. Can you walk us through what this process is, your brand for speakers? 60 days in, story into 60 days. How does that happen? Why is this process so effective?
Great question. So the first thing is to have a discovery session where you look at what is your intention with the book. And once you
Mhm.
discover what is your intention, then you are going to write a completely different book versus having a different intention. Okay?
Right.
You have to think about what
Wow.
you want the book to do for you,
Hmm.
not only what you want the book to do for other people, but for you personally. Is it
Hmm.
you want to get speaking opportunities? Do you want to
Hmm.
target directors of a certain company? Do you
Hmm.
want to attract property landlords?
Hmm.
Do you want to attract insurance companies? So,
Right.
depending on that, you make sure that you write the book for those people
Hmm.
and make the book very short. You can say turn the book title into a very short name that
Hmm.
becomes your keyword phrase, that becomes
Hmm.
your brand title.
I
Okay.
love that.
So, for example, my business partner and we created this brand called Speakers Are Leaders. And
Hmm.
this is the title of his book.
Hmm.
And it's also become the title of his awards event, and
Hmm.
also the title of his workshop, and so on.
Hmm.
So that is how you create a book title that can become a global brand.
Hmm.
You find something that is sexy, that is attractive, that is short, that
Hmm.
is ideally either a statement about
Hmm.
what you believe,
Hmm.
or it's something very short that is likely to hook the readers in, not
Right.
more than 3 to 4 words.
Wow,
Okay, if
interesting.
you can make it even shorter is better. So if you can make it just one word, it's better, or
Hmm.
two, second best, and
Hmm.
3 words, third best, and so on.
I love
Okay,
that.
and if you can create something like Speakers Are Leaders,
Hmm.
this particular book title, if you look, it can become a card game, it can become a board game, it can become an awards event, it can become a workshop, it can become a preview or a seminar, or so many different things. So
Hmm.
if you choose the right name for the book, and at the same time it expresses the key idea that you want to express. So
Hmm.
in this case, it's that speakers are leaders and leaders are speakers, and
I
that
love that.
as a speaker you have to become a leader.
Right.
And if you look at the name, what it does is that it attracts leaders of
Yes.
all organizations.
Right.
And what you want as someone in business is, do you want to be speaking with 1,000 people, or do you want to be speaking with one person who
Hmm.
knows all of those 1,000 people, right?
Right.
So in that way, you don't have to even know so many people. You can just target the leaders of those particular organizations
Hmm.
and maybe speak to 100 key people. And those
Hmm.
100 key people will help you to move mountains much faster than if you were to go one by one.
Hmm.
Okay. So if you create a really good
Hmm.
title for your book, then you can attract the right tribe and the
Hmm.
right readers to you.
Hmm. Right.
Okay. Now, the third step is to create a really great cover. Everyone
Hmm.
says, don't judge a book by its cover, but the problem
Hmm.
is everyone does. So
Yes.
it's important that you do create a fabulous cover and ideally have your face on the cover, because
Hmm.
that way when you speak at an event with 2,000 people and you are sitting next to someone, they
Hmm.
will know that it's you who is on there on the cover of
Wow.
the book.
I
And
love
that
that.
way you have more opportunities to be memorable, to be
Hmm.
recognized, and for people to connect with you as well. Whereas if you didn't have a picture on the cover, then you have less opportunities. Also, for
Wow.
example, you can take this book on the train, on the bus, wherever, and then with your face on the cover, everyone will be like, "Oh my God, a
That's
celebrity's
it.
in."
That's it. That's it. That's it. It makes you recognizable. It makes you stand out. It makes your title so effective that it's so memorable. It's almost like videos, right? Like making yourself a marketing out there, but in a book form, so to speak. I love how you put it together in a way that you started with a title, you started with a book cover, and these are the same titles that you use for your own books, and they are all very effective. It kind of leads me back to my first question now of you kind of explained this earlier as well. Why does being an author become, how does it transform someone's career so much? Why is it so impactful, particularly for busy entrepreneurs and CEOs? Why do you think it's so effective?
That's a great question.
Mhm.
There is so much lack of trust in the business world.
Interesting.
So when you publish a book, you create instant credibility and instant
That's
trust.
it. That's it.
And what I find is that, let's say, if you were to try to pitch to a landlord and you
Mhm.
want to maybe manage his property, and maybe this is your business, okay? It's a lot harder for you to do it without someone referring you. But a book can do that for you, okay? When you go in, let's say you do a viewing for a property and you gift your book, which costs you, let's say, £2.50 or let's say $4, and you gift that book. Now, wouldn't you agree that it's worth an investment of $4 in order to get to manage a property that maybe makes you $2,000 or
Of
£2,000
course.
every month for the
Yes.
next 5 to 10 years,
I love that.
right?
It's a perfect investment. It's a great bang for your buck. It's a great return.
Yes, exactly. Now, it's also a great differentiator because imagine if, let's say, if you are a landlord and you visit 10 different property agencies and you want to rent out your property, which one are you going to go for? You are going to, yes, you're going to check reviews,
Of
but
course.
if you were to check two agencies, one against the other, if
Mhm.
you saw someone as charismatic as you,
Mhm.
with a really lovely book with your face on the cover on it, and you were very smiley, very charismatic, you were very friendly, and you also talked in that book about how you can get a higher return for the landlord than
Interesting.
other people,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
Then they would have you, I mean, the other people, they would have no way of competing with you,
Yes. Yes.
okay?
Mhm.
So the book is a great introduction tool. It's a great business tool. It's a great business card, but it's a lot more than that because instantly it helps you to create that authority, that credibility, and also it's like a spokesperson for you because at some point, let's say you give this book to this property landlord, even if the property landlord does not read the book, they still saw
Mhm.
you on the cover and they
Mhm.
just assumed instant credibility and
Mhm.
instant authority for you. And even
That's
if they
it.
don't read it, they might gift it to their nephew, and then
Yes.
their nephew could say, "Oh my God, uncle, I read
It,
about this
yes,
and this
exactly.
happened and this." So then they will become the spokesman for you as well.
Wow,
And that's a
beautiful.
really good thing. That versus a brochure, it has immense power, like 100 times more power. Because with
Okay.
what do you do with the brochure? You put it in the bin, in the next bin.
Yeah.
Whereas a book, nobody throws a book.
Nobody throws a book. I love that. Lily, that's so true. Nobody throws a book because even if we don't read it, we just like it up there, And sometimes people might pick that book and then they share that book and then you're just out there in the world constantly, permanently, and in an effective, a very effective sort of trustful way. Like I said, instant trust, instant credibility. And of course, the website is lily.global and the link is slash lily.global/free is where you can book a time with Lily, talk about writing your own book and publishing your own book in 60 days, become a luxury influencer, and enhance your personal brand worldwide and speak worldwide as well. Lily, anything else that you would love to share to the audience today? One last bit of wisdom, one last bit of advice and tip, and of course, any other links that you would love us to check out. We'd love to also check out your books. Where can we find them?
Now, one great thing that I'm doing now is that you can have a chapter in a collaborative book. So,
Oh,
if let's say you don't have a budget to publish your entire book and you don't have time to publish an entire book, one great way for you to still spread your message is
mhm,
to publish a chapter in a collaborative book
mhm.
that we're all going to work together to make it a bestseller.
Wow.
And also, it's going to help you to be part of a community, an exclusive community of millionaires, entrepreneurs, thought leaders,
Mhm.
CEOs of different companies, health coaches. So, if you are someone who wants to spread your message, there are possibilities for you to do that. And you can start elevating your brand and being part of a community
I
of
love that.
innovative thinkers,
Right.
of millionaires with
Bestsellers.
innovative products and services, and really extraordinary entrepreneurs that can teach you a lot of stuff and
I
that
love
we
that.
can all learn from each other to
Mhm,
grow our business. So if
mhm,
you're someone who wants that, all you have to do is go to lily.global/free.
mhm.
And there I can tell you more about that.
Wow, wow. I love that. It's of course not just putting yourself as the expert, instant credibility, but you are also joining the same community, the same group of people who are also building their credibility. And, you know, let's all become bestsellers at the same time, right, Lily? Why not?
Yes. Now, for me, I would say that it's a lot more than just being bestseller. It's about
Mhm.
elevating your brand. It's about
Yes.
meeting the right people. And sometimes you just need one person. Okay.
Mhm,
So last year, I collaborated with one celebrity. Her name is Marie Diamond, and she was featured in the movie The Secret, viewed
mhm,
by 700 million people.
mhm.
Okay.
Wow.
And I helped her to brand and market her books. Five of her books were bestseller for many months with
Mhm,
her network and my branding strategy.
mhm.
And it was so amazing to see how she was a gateway for abundance and love and support and healing. And I do think that all you need is sometimes one person
Yes.
to literally boost your business, to
Yes.
lift you up, to uplift you when you're down, to give you motivation and inspiration. And I
Mhm.
believe I'm that person for you.
Yes, you are. You truly are, Lily, and you have absolutely convinced me. You've convinced us. You've convinced the audience and listeners, and we are on a mission to convince the world that Lily is the person to put you out there and connect you to the right person, connect you to the right community. Lily, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for the insight.
Thank you so much.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Lily Global /free. Make sure to check that out. Get in touch with Lily and put yourselves out there. Thank you so much for the time, Lily, and to all our audience and listeners. I hope you enjoyed this one. We will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing, we try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.